Peace. This is the God Emblem. Today, I'm honored to have a real peace God whom I recently met. What I mean, in a locality where I ain't think it was no gods, but God truly, true indeed, show and prove Allah is God in all worlds, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So the God's name is Shakur Allah, and I want to say peace, God. Peace, God. First and foremost, tell us a little bit about your history with this mathematics. What was it like when you first got it? Some of the old hairs you might have set up under, that whole thing.
All right. I acquire knowledge of self and build power. At that time, I was really attracted to the wisdom more than anything else. I saw how the brothers at that particular time, how their demeanor and their character was upright. It was somewhat, different. What I know and understand now is being under like attract and they are like repel. But it was apparent to me, even though at the time, through others' eyes, they may not have been able to see it. But that's what initially attracted me to the gods and earths, was the brothers' demeanor and their wisdom, how they was articulate and knowledgeable, and it varied. It wasn't just confined to one subject matter or anything of that nature. Brothers was versed in various fields of science and mathematics and anything related to life. And for me at the time, in build power, I was knowledge understanding 13 master. So for me, it was just like my old dad wasn't there. I really ain't had no older male influences. I was already in the street, and the guards they was around where I was residing at. At that particular time, I was residing in Patmos, Pelon, on knowledge, equality, understanding, and by Yankee Stadium. And I used to go to the west side of Pelon and Patmos and build with the guards up on the west side up there. And I always would extend myself and go to different places and build with other guards from different areas or in the general area in Pelon and Patmos that, in my age bracket and within my circle of brothers that initially gained knowledge of self with me. But I had started going to the justice and like build God, build. And I really could say that's probably when I really acquired a real clearer understanding, because it was like with time being slow, you have a lot of other time to look at things from a different degree. Or
where was your first when you first was in the injustice? Where was that at, God?
I was first in a spot called Harlem Valley. First I went to Spofford, and from there I went to Harlem Valley, and I was there. I was very active there. It was me and a guard named T. Quan from Medina. Me and the guard. I don't even know what happened to the brother in this day and age now. This is why I like instruments and vehicles like this, whereas, other brothers can, another brother might know who I'm talking about somewhere else and be able to, allow me to, get back in contact with the God. But me and the God T. Quan, there was another, most of these brothers, I don't even know if they still or fall under the five. But, it was a brother by the name of Father. It was a nice number of us. It was a lot. That's when I really started building with gods from other places as well, from Lord's Island and from the desert, because I was coming in contact with brothers from different areas and different boroughs of the city. So, you know, it just exposed me to a broader view of knowledge and, you know, networking. Because that's one thing to me more so. You know, I always saw that whether I was acknowledging it consciously or subconsciously, it was always a lot of networking through gods, especially brothers was dealing with the same plane of energy at the same time in the same space. You know what I mean?
Peace.
But I don't know, God. I think that I first knowledge 120 in, I think, in Bill Bourne. Me and the God T. Quan. Me and the God, what it was that we motivated each other towards achieving 120 lessons. 122 to be exact, 2 degrees repeat themselves. But we motivated each other towards building and just acquiring, you know, every day the God would be studying, and it would motivate me to go study. You know what I mean? And that's a lost art now. You know what I mean? Steel sharpening steel. You know what I mean?
Peace.
You know, and it ain't even like that no more. And I mean, I remember when I first knowledge 120 like that, the energy, you know what I mean, that magnetic flux. You know what I mean? I was in total control of my cipher, my square. I understood my degrees. I'm not going to say I understood them to totality because, bruh, one thing I could attest to, man, having knowledge itself, man, wisdom, understanding, years, man, there's nothing new under the sun, God. And you know what? I learned something new through those degrees, man, every day. You know what I mean? There's something to be learned. You know what I mean? There's views that you may not even, you know, looked at or looked in that context. You know what I mean? So that's why when brothers say, yo, you know, they have a complete and total understanding of, nah, bro. That's mathematically impossible, man. It's not designed that way because the earth is moving. You know what I mean?
Peace.
The sun is moving. You know what I mean? You know, things are progressively changing, you know what I mean? So,
God, when you say fall into the fire, build on that a little more.
Yeah, when I say that, because when we go through the knowledge to the knowledge equality degree in the law-free cipher, and who are the 5%? And when I say that, falling under the 5, because a lot of these brothers, you know, to me, it's like, for a long time, it's like I used to, like, just spit the degree. But it was like, the degree is so profound if you was to take it in the context. And it clarifies a lot of views that brothers may be having about this or that, you know, as it relates to Islam or as it relates to Muslim sons and Masons, because a lot of brothers' views are very, very limited when it comes to that. You know what I mean? But the latter part of that degree are Muslims and Muslim sons is applicable when they say 5%. When it speaks about who are the poor righteous teachers on the poor part of the planet Earth, they are a part of that segment of that 5 as well. But a lot of brothers, that's how come, you know, for a long time it was like I saw it, but it was like I really didn't grasp it to the full degree. When I used to go to parliaments and you would see Caucasian people at the parliament, you would see Masons in the parliament, you would see all kinds of different people at the parliament. And it was a reason why you would see all these different kinds of people at the parliament, because they are a living example of that degree.
Peace.
You know what I mean? And to clarify, and it's like there's a lot of brothers that limit their view And what they're doing is just limiting their ability to build. And if they truly understood themselves, we know Bill borns understand and destroy borns God. If they truly understood God, you understand God?
Peace.
Yeah, they wouldn't even deal with that science like that.
Peace, God. God, let me ask you this simple question. Man, you could take it up there into the etherical realm. How you see yourself as a law on earth, God?
Oh. Well, the things, it's like, to me, when I look at a law in far as the Father in context, and even from an even greater plane, because all he did was just expose us or try to expand our minds and have us look at ourselves in a broader perspective. But a law, the word, you can trace that all the way back to ancient Babylon in those times and days, God. And the root word of that word is allot. A-L-L-O-T. And to me, man, when I look at, I take it through the 82nd Psalm. Because we are God on earth. Yes, we are princes, but we are God on earth, but it's an application, when you say you are law, on earth, it is more than just in word, it's in deed, it's in the way you walk, it's in the way you talk, it's in the way you carry yourself. And it's all a reflection of being an upright and just man, really in essence. It's just the principle of, when you look at all those in biblical time and they say, well, this particular prophet, he was upright, or he was a just man. These are all characteristics of one being God. You understand? Being just, being true, being upright, in your conduct, in your daily affairs, outside affairs, however you conduct and carry yourself, to always be just and true. And I look at the Father, when I look at how the Father, he was a just and true man. And I think that for us as being, indigenous people on this continent, he wanted to instill in us that we could be just as in the same reflection or light manifested. God? And be just and true in the same context. The Father, I'm not going, it's like when you look at, it's like each man in his time has his purpose. That's why the beauty of math exposes you to so many different individuals if you allow it to. It's like the born degree in the knowledge cipher. What is the sad birth record of nations other than Islam? Christianity 551, Buddhism 35,000. And when you take that degree some people, God, it's like for every individual, how they apply themselves is what truly sets them apart from another individual as being God and, Allah, because we know God and Allah is one and the same. You understand? But it's just a consciousness of mind. You understand what I'm saying? But it's just a lot of brothers haven't even applied that. But for me, when I look at I look at Buddha, or because for me, when I looked at those degrees, it wasn't just a degree. I took them individuals under study. You understand what I'm saying? Who was Buddha? You understand what I'm saying?
Peace.
And it made me say, well, this brother, it gave me it made me look at him as an individual, and then it made me also look at the Father and made me look at, what was he trying to express? What was Elijah trying to express? What was Father trying to express through these questions and answers and this math? And what is the correlation of all of it? And that's what it was for me. And then when I looked at Jesus and even it was funny, the other day I had a Bill Power over here, not to divert off the subject matter, but he was saying something about Christianity, something that he didn't like, something to that effect. And I told him, I said, the other day they had a segment program on CNN, and they was talking about this guy, a politician guy. And I don't know if he's a congressman, a senator, or whatever, but he had proposed a bill for students or children to recite the 10 Commandments in school. And the announcer asked him what were the 10 Commandments, and this individual couldn't even state that. And I was trying to express a point to him that people will put themselves behind anything and not even fully be able to grasp it. You know what I mean? And then I went on to later tell him about Moses, Musa, and I was explaining to him that Moses made the 10 Commandments correlating, and he was like, yeah, the 10 Commandments. And I said, yeah, but he committed murder.
Build on that, God.
Yeah. Well, we know and understand it's like, and it's like, when you deal with that history, God, you have to be very, everything is in correlation, God. As far as when you deal with that particular history, and Moses was, in essence, Israelite, technically, or quote unquote speaking. You know what I mean, God?
Peace.
And we knew and understand that at that particular time, the Egyptians was in control. And anybody, who's familiar with that time of biblical history, and they were straight up killing babies, the Egyptians at that time, because they knew, or we're not going to say that is actual, you know what I mean, or allegedly they were killing babies at this time. And more or less all children under a certain age, and we know and understand what we talking about. You know what I mean? Because all of these are all rules and regulations stemming all the way back to Shakur.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And but nobody don't want to even talk about that, and the average human eye ain't even gonna be able to even highlight or point that out. You know what I mean?
Peace.
But you saw in the biblical history that they said how he lived his first 40 years amongst Pharaoh, and then he wandered for 40 years. And then it was in the last culture cipher of his years that he became a civilized person. That's why for a long time, it should have took me a long time when they said Musa was a half original man. And I was like, how could he be half original if he was black? But it had nothing to do with his ethnicity. It was the nature of the work that he was involved in. You understand? Which made him like somewhat like, you know what I mean, like one with the devil. You know what I mean? Because of the nature of the work that he was dealing with, you know what I mean? But it took me a long, long time to really, really get to the bottom line of what it was. But that, you know, that's when they break his life down. You break it down into the culture ciphers. You know what I mean?
Peace.
The first 40 years,
How do you see the wisdom degree in the knowledge of culture? Why did Musa have a hard time civilizing in 11 years 2000 BC?
Because he was savage. Savage means one who was lost knowledge of himself, is living a beast way of life. Musa was a half original man for himself. Year 2000 BC. He was savage. Savage means one who was lost knowledge of himself and is living a beast way of life. Civilized means to teach knowledge and wisdom to all human families of the planet Earth.
Peace. I'm with you, God.
Yeah, but to me, when I look at why, I mean, in essence, it wasn't in their nature to be civilized to begin with. You know what I mean? So here it was, a man trying to, you know, teach people who are innately uncivilized or you know, recessive civilization. But let me add on to that too, God, because I wanted to add, being that, you know, I know a lot of brothers gonna be hearing this bill, and in correlation with that same bill, and I had came across something I had took under study, and it relates and correlates to this whole bill. 1 in every 100,000 African births is an albino. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
No, but go ahead, build on it, God.
Yeah, and you know, an albino is a recessive gene.
Peace.
Albinism is a lack of pigmentation of melanin. Now, we don't understand Musa, he was an original man, so going back to that wisdom degree, we know when they say he was a half original man, that we're not talking about in the context of DNA or genetics.
Peace.
But then it makes me go to the what is a real devil? Any man made weak or wicked, or any live grafted germ from the original is devil. And when I took that under study, that's a direct correlation, God, to that relative, to that wisdom, going all the way back to that wisdom degree. Because you got to say, well, damn, well, you know, well, what made Musa a half original man was the mentality. You know what I mean? And there's only one, it's a couple of ways we can say it in this, like people with that Uncle Tom mentality, you know, or, you know, just an ignorant mentality, you know, and that's what that degree is really reflecting on is, you know, any man made, you know, a person has to be made, and then it made me go to the knowledge, understanding, quality. Because, you know, all, you know, it's words. You know, they say they were made, you know. It's like, it's the difference, God. It wasn't a conscientious choice. See, they were made to be this way. You understand, God? There's a difference. And that's why, you know, in context with Musa, you know what I mean, that's what made him a half original man, was the fact that the nature of the work that he was dealing with and the mentality that he had to have dealing with that kind of work.
How you see the culture degree and some trick knowledge that Yakub had taught him, which was establishment? How do you see that?
Well, you know, far as, I mean, we can't, were you talking about the devilishment aspect of it?
Wipe yourself.
Well, I mean, today, even right now, in this modern day and time, you know, the way that they use television, you know what I mean, to control what you visually see or what you visually hear, you know what I mean? All of these are manifestations and forms of how, you know, he passed on this technology, and over the course of time, they've become even more. Now, let me take it to an even deeper plane, because Musa, Moses, all of this is in the 5 books of Moses, commonly referred to as the Pentateuch, which the Jews follow, technically speaking. You understand what I'm saying?
Please.
And we know and understand that these are the followers of Moses. These are the people right now in the day and age that have the power over the media. What you hear, what you see, all of the information that, you're retaining visually and orderly, is relative and going all the way back, and we can trace all that back to that. Yeah.
So you equating the trick knowledge of yesterday to the trick knowledge of today.
Yeah.
And
it's all the same, because it's like when you say, when you're speaking about that culture degree, and you're speaking about Yakub, and you're speaking about Musa, and we know and understand that Yakub is the father of the devil, and Musa was like, the sub-planner. You know what I mean? Let me rephrase that. Yakub was the sub-planner, but Musa was like the agent in you know what I mean, who he utilized to implement these rules and regulations.
Peace.
And then you look at the rules and regulations and how they implement and were passed down over the course of time, and you look at the nature of the life that we live now, it's all in correlation.
How you see that in relationship to the knowledge cipher percent, Carl?
Well, when you take that under study, you have to acknowledge their power first. And a lot of brothers, they won't even do that, first and foremost. Math don't lie. That's one thing I say to Father, the beauty of the math. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. People say, well, they don't have no power. You know what I mean? They do, right now. You know what I mean?
Peace.
Yeah. But the rich slave makers of the poor who teach the poor lies that the almighty, true, and living God is a spook that cannot be seen with the physical eye, otherwise known as the bloodsuckers of the poor. And I mean, right now, God, the 10%ers really, they're controlling. It's like I'm doing the knowledge. There's so many different things going on right now in the world, and all of it is relevant, and it goes right back to the 10%. You know what I mean? And it's just like I keep shaking my head. You know what I mean? Case in point, what's going on right now, or with all these tornadoes and all these natural disasters, quote-unquote natural disasters. To me, they're unnatural disasters or man-made disasters, man-made disasters, population controlling disasters. You know what I mean? And it's just like real, real deep, man, that the nature of what they're willing to go through, man, so that the number, 1 to 11 original men, it's like, man, it's more than that now, God. Bear in mind, man, that's based on the census of 1933 and 1934, God. February 20th, 1934, right? That's when that degree was completed, God. Am I correct, God?
Indeed, God.
Yeah. So we got to bear in mind, and, bear in mind, God, from that time until now, it was 1 to 11 then, God. Imagine. So, they making up for that, God. But what it is that it always brings me back to an old cliche that old gods used to always tell me. Many shall come and few are chosen. And the ones who are chosen are the ones who choose themselves.
Mm.
And what it is that a lot of brothers, they haven't chosen themselves, God. And which is why they continue to have to suffer. They didn't do the knowledge first and foremost, you know what I mean?
Peace.
And that's why they in the predicaments that they in now. You know what I mean? Falling victim. Or it's just ignorance. You know what I mean? Because, you know, when you're dealing with Bill Powers, it's like, it's not to say, and it's real deep. It's like they're sacrificial lamb. They the first to go.
Mm.
You know, in their eyes.
God, let me ask you this question. I know you're real deep in regard to politics. So, you know, of course, the big news, you know, you're talking about original man running for office. How do you see the Obama candidacy and his run for presidency right now, God? And as it relates to one of the sciences that you real heavy on, the calendar, God.
Oh, okay. We dealing with the calendar.
And yeah, and what time it is.
Oh, right now. Oh, this day and age, man. We in some brothers say this is the last days, and it's funny. I'm like, the last days for what? The last day for the Caucasians. You know what I mean? Because that's the only days that I know that we've been, you know, hold fasting. You know what I mean? You know, that's the only days that, you know, I know, you know, we was looking forward to what these degrees was telling us was coming, but, you know, they had extensions and et cetera, et cetera. But let me say this first, dealing with that degree, God, 1914. God, I believe that's the understanding power, right, God?
Right, so God.
Yeah, dealing with that year. And most brothers that might hear this will be very, very familiar with what I'm about to say, that a 70-year grace period was added to that time, which makes that date 1984. But due to knowledge now, God, now at first I remember 1984, I was like, yeah, what the fuck is this shit mean? Ain't nothing was popping off in 1984. But something did pop off in 1984, a book by this cat named George Orwell, named 1984. And when that book, it speaks about Big Brother is watching, and the future, and credit cards, and that was, to me, I don't know what anybody else, I mean, for me, that was my sign. I took that sign, and I ran with that. I was like, oh, shit, maybe this is the correlation, because, you know, all things precedes itself. We prophecy in history before we even know it comes.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? So I don't know why the brother said 1984, but that was the year that I was looking for. You understand what I'm saying?
Please.
But what I did was that I said, okay, going back to Musa, going back to Moses, going back to the powers that be, going back to the 10%, who in control of everything right now? You know, the Jews, the followers of Musa, the followers of Moses. Those are the people who's in control, right? But yet we follow Gregorian calendars, we follow Asiatic calendars, we follow 6 to 7. It's about 5 lunar calendars. I just think about understanding. There's about 6 or 7 different calendars potentially that you could follow.
Peace.
But every September to October, Jews celebrate their New Year. And according to their calendar, they only got about 180 years left to 6,000. So if you bear mind to this day and time and do the knowledge to this bill, our parents, not our parents' generation, but the generation before our parents' generation, that generation is the generation that still holds on to those old racist views, and that's where it's really, really deeply embedded. Now, in the 60s, it's still there in our parents' generation, but it's more, desire to change and build. And in our generation, it just continues on. And if you look at the population of this country, slowly but surely, around the world, slowly but surely, their numbers are declining.
Peace.
And through amalgamation and miscegnation, through drugs, they just destroying themselves. But we still continue to rise. And as time, I see it, God. Not my generation. My baby's generation. Yeah, Obama has, and not only that, I was building with my queen, my knowledge God, last night, and we was talking about how I've been noting lately that they've been showing a lot of commercials relative to green, like more earth friendly.
Peace.
And getting away from using fossil fuels and and things that's gonna endanger the earth. And I was building with my knowledge God, and I was like, oh, let me say that too. I'll be watching this show too, John and Kate, and Plus 8, and they eat. Their children are organic babies. Let me just say that first, because that's all in correlation with green. Children of the future are not really eating more organically grown food and halal and things of that nature, but more healthier sources of food. So life, as opposed to them living to be 80 or 90, people will be living to be 120, like it was supposed to be from the very beginning. You understand what I'm saying? And the lifespan of that will be normal, because people will be doing the things physically, and the earth will be allowing itself to naturally heal because the ozone layer won't be destroyed. No, I was just building with my wisdom. I was building with somebody else too. But I was explaining to them that every single time that a space shuttle goes into outer space, can you imagine the gaping hole that shit puts in the ozone? You don't get it, like why, on the other side of the planet they having tornadoes and all of these things are relative to each other, because it's like a disruption. It's like you ruptured it, the ozone layer with all these chemicals and fuel.
Peace.
And fire,
Peace.
Yeah.
Go ahead, God.
And next thing you know, you got gaping holes in the ozone. You got patches, holes. It's creating irregular weather. Throws off, man, the course of, the spin of the axis of the universe. It throws it off. And then, now we have to deal with, but see, this is the things that they're doing at the expense of us. This is a 10%. This is what they're doing. They're willing to sacrifice. They know the consequences of the repercussions behind them going into outer space. They know, but it's Bill Powers that's walking. They don't even know the correlation of that. But they know, but they don't care. They know that, but that's how they view it. You know what I mean? That, it's not about those who are on the bottom of the totem or those who lack knowledge. That's because it's not even, I ain't going to say it's not even about wealth. Because if you have knowledge, you have power. And if you have knowledge, you have wealth. Because you know. See, a man with knowledge is a dangerous thing, because, see, a man with knowledge, he can delegate with anybody.
Peace.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying in that context. But they know that those who don't know, oh man, they're just victims, man. And it's just sad. And you know what? Something that you had said to me the other day, that, you know, I be trying to build with a lot of brothers and try to enlighten them, even in this day and age. And I stopped trying to give brothers knowledge of self a long time ago. And but you know what? Is only gonna be a chosen few, God.
Peace.
And you know what? It's not about quantity. It's about quality. Because, see, you can get 3 men out of 1 good man. You understand what I'm saying?
Peace.
And I'm going to end my bill with that, God.
God, it's been peace building with you, man. You know, man, I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody else will, God. Peace.
Peace, Allah.